those are the 5 things that I think might be the most impactful for any of you out there considering a Sigma FP, but none of those things matter to me. Alright friends, welcome back to another video here at The Growing Pro, where we hope to share all of our 20 plus years of experience, of successes, of maybe not quite so successful endeavors, so that you can have all that information that we have already gone through early enough to not make the same mistakes, to make the best decisions possible, to use your money wisely enough in the right places as soon as possible so that you can be successful and start making money with your craft sooner. So today I wanted to follow up and just talk a little more about this camera that we're shooting with right now. Now, if I didn't tell you anything about the camera that we're shooting with right now, would you have any idea what the camera is, what lens we're using, what bit rate we're recording in? Anything else? Would you have any idea what camera this is? And this is a straight out of camera image. I'm going to do no color grading, no post-processing, no added LUT, and this is not a log format, let me tell you that much. Now obviously we most likely will put the name of the camera into the description tagline or the headline or whatever, so you're going to know what this is. But in reality I wanted to continue talking more about this Sigma FP because after my years of experience with it, I still think that it is one of the most misunderstood and frankly devalued cameras out there. Not just because it's a great hybrid camera. It shoots beautiful video, beautiful photography. You've got so many different color profiles which you can customize to the point where essentially you're recreating film simulations like I would with my Fujifilm cameras. But this is straight out of camera. I'm not touching the profile internally, and like I said before, I'm also not going to post-process this image at all. Now this is a picture profile, or as they call it, a color profile. This is the color profile powder blue. I've made another video about it because it's one of my favorite, absolute favorite color profiles on the Sigma FP. But we're shooting this in 8-bit UHD, so it is a 4K file, but in 8-bit. I am recording to an SSD only because I absolutely hate bottom-loaded SD cards. I'm on a tripod. I hate to fiddle with SD cards if I don't have to, so we're recording to top-mounted SSD, which you can go catch our configuration in this video here, but wait till you finish this video first. And this is such an easy camera to work with, in my opinion. And I have a brain injury. I have a TBI. I've had multiple concussions. I've taken a steel pipe to the head, brass knuckles to the head, a coffee table to the back of the head, and most recently the back of a dump truck, the tailgate of a dump truck, to the top of my skull, right over my frontal lobe. And menu systems can be very convoluted for me. And that's one of the biggest reasons why I stopped shooting with the Sony a7 III when it first came out. As much as I loved the image, shooting headshots and model portfolio updates, I hated that menu system. I hated those early Sony menu systems. I guess that's not even an early, let's call that a midway Sony menu system. I just hated them. I'm sure they've come a long way, but I do still shoot on a Sony a7C every once in a while, and obviously that's the same menu system. Now that's also the only rangefinder style camera that I own. But back to the Sigma FP. I am not just a dedicated one camera brand person. I will say that I love Canon colors. So the majority of our cinema and in-house studio cameras have been Canon. But at the same time that I was shooting with 3 Canon C100 Mark IIs, we had a client come in and say, hey listen, we want 4K footage. It's got to be 4K, not downsampled. So I gave that a lot of thought. But at that point, I already loved working with the C100 Mark IIs. Number one, because the file sizes and formats were so easy to work with. I mean, whether you're shooting in YDR or even Rec 709, it took so little to make that a presentable image to just send off to clients, and everyone loved it. No one ever complained. So, all right, so with one of our other companies, with one of our other brands, we get a client says, we want to work with you. We want you to be our spokesperson for our videos. but the videos have to be in 4K. So again, after giving it a lot of thought, I said, you know what? I've always wanted to try a red. Let me try a red. So I picked up the red Mysterium X body, 4K, and frankly, it sat on a shelf. I used it a few times. It was a great image, great quality image, but I typically edit on Final Cut Pro. To me, that's just the easiest, the fastest, and I've been using it for years. So making so many switches just to conform to shooting red raw was such an inconvenience for me. Not just an inconvenience, but it took 4 times as long to get our clients their product than it took with the C100 Mark II, if not longer. And like I said, very quickly, the red sat on a shelf. And we continued to use the C100 Mark IIs until I decided to upgrade them to C200s, which frankly, I love. If you are someone getting into cinematography and you don't want to go the route like we've discussed in many other videos as a GH5, the Canon C200 is a brilliant camera. The image quality is beautiful. Even the 1080 is beautiful. Built-in NDs is such a blessing. It's like in 2025, everything should have built-in NDs. I know they can't, but you know, it's just one of those like modern features that you want everything to have. Once you have it, you don't ever want to work without it. But the Canon C200 not having a 10-bit file internally started to kind of drive me nuts, because if I started pixel peeping, I could see aspects of the 8-bit image that would fall apart that I wasn't completely happy with. But then I kept telling myself, well, the red is still on the shelf, why don't you pull that out? But the C200 was just so brilliant and beautiful and easy to work with. SD cards all day long. You could flip your client work out just like clockwork. It was just simple. It made life simple. And as a single father of 6, 5 under the age of 18, I like simple. But the Sigma FP offers so much versatility that people don't even realize. Yes, the raw DNG 12-bit files are beautiful. They are stunning on the Sigma FP. And I'm going to go against the grain, and so many people are constantly hating on the FP and saying, well, Sigma doesn't know how to make a camera. They make great lenses, but they don't know how to make a camera. And frankly, I couldn't disagree with you any more than that. I think the Sigma FP is a brilliant camera. Yes, it's a brick, but for our purposes and the way that we use it, a brick is just fine. The Sigma FP is a brick style camera, and it works perfectly for us. But at the end of the day, the Sigma FP is either the right camera for you or it's not. There's kind of no in between. Now, 5 reasons why you may not want to consider the Sigma FP. And number 1 is kind of my big one. It's really the only thing that I would like to have. There's no flippy screen. There's no tilting screen. My favorite screen is a tilting screen. My second favorite would then be a flippy screen if I were vlogging or for other things. I typically use the flip out, which my Fujifilm X-H1 has. And I will say, hold on, it's right here. I may as well grab it. So, in my opinion, the GH6 is the perfect screen. You have a fully articulating flip-out screen if you want to do vlogging, or if you like to look at that screen, or if you're a content creator who doesn't want to use an external monitor, you can flip that screen out, look at yourself, whatever. But in most cases, especially run and gun cases, I love a tilting screen. And you take the EVF cup off and you can see the screen nice and clearly. I don't need the external monitor, but that is my favorite screen for both photo and video. And I shoot a lot of photography, headshots, and model portfolio updates. And to me, this is literally the perfect screen. You have the best of both worlds, fully articulating and tilt. And it's a two-way tilt, so you can come all the way out. And it's a well-made screen. I will say that. So the Sigma FP, fixed screen. I know that Cinealta makes a tilting screen adapter so you can take it apart and do the tilting screen on it, but I don't really want to fiddle with that, go down that road. There's just too many problems that could arise. I just use an external monitor when needed. So number 1, fixed screen. Number 2, no EVF. But were you expecting an EVF on the smallest possible full frame camera out there? I wasn't. If I want a camera with an EVF, I'll take that out. I don't want that. I do have the diopter for this, the director's diopter, but I don't ever use it. Actually, I've never used it. I have it, but I've never used it once because typically in the studio we'll leave the screen open like I've shown you in one of our other videos, or we'll just throw an external monitor on here. So no EVF. If you want an EVF, get a different camera. The Sigma FP is not for you. And number 3, which frankly is one of my biggest pet peeves, and that is it's a bottom-loaded SD card. I hate bottom-loaded SD cards because then everything that you configure about how you rig it or kit it out, unless you're just using the body only, any way that you rig it out, you've got to accommodate a bottom-loaded SD card. And while we've found plenty of workarounds for that, especially using the Falcom F38, which again, I go into details in the last video we made on this, I still hate bottom-loaded SD cards. Again, to Sigma's benefit, in a body this small, full frame, that offers so much, where else are you going to put the SD card? Had to be there. Okay, so that's number 3. And number 4 is battery life. Battery life on these Sigma batteries sucks. But again, it all goes back to how do you think Sigma could cram a larger battery into such a tiny body? I love the size of the Sigma FP. Love the size. Would I want it to be bigger if it had a bigger battery? No. Because if I want a bigger battery, I'd take out a different camera. And like I showed you in that last video, we have sled options to run everything off of an MPF battery, a V-mount battery, or Sigma batteries. So if I'm running Sigma batteries, I've usually got 6 or 7 or 8 at this point, always on hand. 2 chargers, and I always keep them charged. So it's a quick swap, just like the SD card, quick swap. But bottom-loaded SD card with crappy batteries may not be the right camera for you. So that's number 4. And number 5 doesn't matter to me one bit, but that is autofocus. Now, I'm used to Canon autofocus for my photography. My photography cameras are Canons, the EOS R. I had an R8, got rid of that. I still shoot photography with a Fujifilm X-H1. The autofocus is not that great, but it's good enough, it's decent enough, and if you select the right focus mode, the autofocus is sufficient, even for portraiture. But the autofocus in the Sigma FP is not that good. But I never use it. I only ever shoot with manual focus lenses on the Sigma FP. So those are the 5 things that I think might be the most impactful for any of you out there considering a Sigma FP. But none of those things even matter to me because of what I get in this tiny little full frame package. I don't care about those other things. But I will say that the build quality of the Sigma FP is absolutely top-notch. It is a beautiful camera. It is robust and well built. It's, to me, the perfect weight. It's not too heavy, doesn't feel plasticky and cheap. And as my final thought for this video, as soon as I started seeing videos on the Nikon ZR, I became so tantalized with that. 2 people. The videos of Mark Bone and the videos of Cam Mackey. When I watched what they were putting out with the Nikon ZR, that is what attracted me to the Nikon. And the fact that in 2025, I think that every camera coming out, moving forward, should have 32-bit float internally, no matter what. And as I've said before, I'm shocked that the Canon C50 does not offer 32-bit float. And that makes me wonder something. I don't think that this is necessarily the Canon cripple hammer coming into play, but I'm wondering if Canon is going to give us this beautiful top handle without 32-bit float with the camera, and then maybe 6 months down the road they're going to say, hey, here's an upgraded top handle with 32-bit float. But then again, the camera itself does not have dual ADCs, so I don't think it could actually record in 32-bit float, but I don't know. I don't know what they're planning with that, but I also have no comprehension. So I just can't understand why Canon didn't put 32-bit float in the C50. I think there's absolutely no reason why they should not be putting 32-bit float in the C50. Again, I've been in the music industry for over 20 years as a professional sound audio engineer and producer and performing artist, and I've never ever had 32-bit float at my disposal. Not for video, not for anything. I've never used it. So do I need it? No. But if it's going to become an industry standard from here on out, Canon, you should be putting 32-bit float in the C50. Because soon enough, everyone else is gonna. So I wonder what they have up their sleeve. Canon kind of tends to have things up their sleeve, don't they? But I still love you, Canon. And I love the Canon C200. Absolutely one of my favorite cameras of all time. I've been waiting for years for C200 Mark II. But instead, I think I'm going to grab a C70. So there you go. We'll end on a non-Sigma FP related note. But friends, thanks again for watching another video here at The Growing Pro. My name's Adam, and I'll catch you in the next one.